Okay, now you can continue. Can you need the we can't even see you. Jackson, are you speaking?
I wanted to ask the same question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was muted. I was speaking. Right. So then I've marked, where I've marked is where now we are starting our chart on payoff, as you can see at the bottom there. So let me draw some lines for which I'll use for the marking. Okay, as you can see here, the market before payoff is what was actually going up. So our starting point should be there. Now we mark the highest point as we can see it. And which is the highest point? Certainly it is here. This one, I think most of us were getting it right. Yeah, that was the highest point. But now you want to establish, then what was the lowest, which was the lowest point? You will remember we said if it is an uptrend, you want to look at the tops of the candle. The yellow, the orange, you can see it went highest. Then the previous, it went slightly lower than it. The next one went slightly lower than it. The next one slightly lower. The next one went slightly lower. But this yellow candle here, it doesn't go lower than the green candle, right? So that marks the low. That marks the low of that particular trend. So that would be it, because this yellow one here it is what we are calling a counter trend. So now that is our starting point. That will be our starting point for this particular table. So what do we do? Then now we shall play. That was the low, that was the high. Then the next candle, what did it do? It came, you can see it broke.
There's a question in the chat, please.
Yes. Sorry? You may ask, you are saying there's a question.
There's a question in the chat.
Somebody's asking, can you show us how you pick the lines?
Oh, the ones which I'm using for marking.
Yes.
Yes. How did you get them?
Okay, how I got them? Look here where I'm pointing. I'm pointing at that trend line. At the far corner, there is a trend line there. There's a drop down, as you can see. Here there is vertical line, there's horizontal line, there's trend line. Okay, so for this one, for the lines that I'm using for marking, you click on the trend line. Then you just, once you click on the trend line, if you click on the horizontal, it will give you a long or horizontal, but you want a line that you can move, you can size. So you go for the trend line, you click on it, then you come here, somewhere you just draw with it. You draw it like that, okay? So once you draw one, now you can click on it and you duplicate as many as you want. And while you are at it, you can click on the line, then you change the color. Maybe you make it red, another one you make it yellow, as the case may be. I guess that is okay. Right, let me go now to the substance. Now we are there. We have marked our highest point and our lowest. This is the current high, and they let me use yellow for the lows. Huh? For the lows, let's use yellow. For the highs, let's use white. So while we are there, and when you look at my current low, I drew a parallel line. It came until it touched the candle which is the next candle. And this candle, when you look at it, it actually went lower than the current low. So that becomes a point of interest. Yeah, it becomes a point of interest because it has gone lower, meaning then you will have to mark a new low. You'll have to mark a new low there because the current low, it is okay. It's yellow, right? So that is now the new low because it was breached. Breaching is going past the current low. Once it goes below that, it means that now there was a change of direction, and therefore you need to mark that low or high, as the case may be. But for the high, so far it has not been breached. The candles are playing in between. So now we have candles. This is the low. The current low is this yellow, and the current high remains that one. So from there, let's play on. I will be stopping when it is breached. Once it is breached and a counter trade is created, I will be stopping, rather pausing the candles from playing so that we can do our marking. Okay, so I can pause there because already a counter trade has been formed. This green, this green candle here, it created a counter. Look here. Here we are on a downtrend now. It breached the current low, which is this one. It breached it. It reached the point here. Then the next candle, instead of going lower than the current, it went up. It closed when it is up. You can see the green candle. It did not come lower than the yellow, the orange candle here. So this is a counter trade. This green candle here is a counter trade, and therefore that becomes a point of interest for us. All right, it becomes a point of interest, and now we need to get involved to mark the chart, as it were. So I want this one to be long one because I'll be moving it. So that one, right? So we want to mark now. I'm just replacing the one which was there because once I move the tall one, it will lose it. So now the new low, the current low, becomes this one. This one now remains there. It was the previous low. And remember the candle, when you are drawing this line, just draw it to the point that it is breached. Don't push it any further. Draw it up to the point. That is the candle which breached it. So that marks now the point of interest. Let it reach there. Then you move down, you mark the next candle until it will be breached. That is where now you will be able to get involved. And here, yes, that's a low. We have marked, that's a new low. So now we play on and we let it see until it's breached, either up or low. That's when we will move. If it is playing in between, you just let it play on because it is within the same impasse. The downward impasse will not have changed. And for sure, it has been breached. It it has been already breached. Where let me pause a bit there. When you use here will need to use the tool. This tool, particularly, remember the market snapshot. This one you will need here, because when you look at this candle, which was the current low, and this yellow here, they are so close, you may not be able to pick it out with your naked eyes. Right? You can easily assume that they are the same level. But when you look at this one, the low, it is the last digit is 99, whereas this one, the last digit is 89. Yeah, it's 89. So meaning what? Meaning this one has gone lower. This one has gone lower by 10 points, lower than the current low. The current low which was here, right? The current low which was there. It has already been breached by this one, and therefore, again, the next candle also came slightly lower, but then there was a counter trade. This one here was a counter trade. So you will now be interested to move your current high to a new low, and this new low will be here. This green one, because it is the one which has gone lowest when you compare that. After breaching the previous low, it has gone. So the trend is still going down. It's pushing downwards, as you can see. The high that we marked has not been breached. So what does it tell you? It tells you that the trend is actually going down, right? So then now this one, let's, as I said, for you to be organized, just bring it up to the point which was last breached, and it is a green candle here. That is the one which brought out which brought up the new low. Our current low is now this one here, right? So we play on. Again, we have breached the low. A counter trade has been formed, so we pause. This is a counter trade. This green candle here is a counter trade. Why is it a counter trend? Because it did not go lower than the green, the previous green. This marks our new low here. So this marks our new low. So let me duplicate this one for the data. Right here, right there. But I want to just place this one here so that I can move the long one. This long one here is my current low, to bring it down there to mark the new current low. This will remain there as the previous low. And remember, it came up to this. It had come up to this. This is the candle which breached it. So bring it up to there so that you remain consistent in your markets. Okay. All right. So that's the new low. Now we play on. The low again has been breached. So you can see the breached, it is still on downward trend. We will not stop until we have a counter trend. When you have a counter trend, that is where now you will have to move your low. Good. Already we have another counter trend. This green candle here. This green candle, it is a counter trend. Why is it a counter trend? When you look at this candle here, it came down, then this one again came lower. This one did not come lower than the orange candle. It went up, the first green one. And that is what we are calling a counter. It has countered the downward trend. Now it has started going up. This first one here, therefore that marks a point of interest. And therefore now we will need to mark that particular low. We need to move our current low to the new position. So this one, I'm bringing it there just to ensure so that I can move this long one here. This is the one that I'm moving with it all along. This one is just to leave a mark where the previous low kind of was. right? So that's our new law now. Then remember the high has remained untouched. It doesn't move, and it will not move until it will be breached, you know. Okay, so then we play on. Sorry. I think there's something that we'll have to revisit. There's something that we'll need to revisit, which I missed about the highs. Okay, sorry. There's something that I want to go back a little bit to correct. I was almost missing it. Now, once the law is breached, yes, once the law is breached, it creates a new impasse, and it will necessitate you mark a new high of that particular impasse. Okay, let me start from the beginning, where we started. You'll apologize for me for that. I just these things are still new. We are learning them, but I've just seen what I was missing, and we'll collect. Good. So the first time that it was breached, this first time here where it was breached, the law, we marked a new law, and the high was there. Then it came down, it breached the law, the current law. So from there, when it breached the current law, you will need to mark a new high. This high was there. So now from here, from this point, yes, from this point that when you look at this candle, this one came low, this one came lower than this one came lower than that. Yeah. This from here to here. That is actually one impasse. Why? This is low. It is low. It's lower than the previous. This is lower than the previous. So, and when you look at this one, this one comes lower than this. It was supposed to be higher for that community. So this was a counter trend as far as that trend is concerned. The green one was a counter trend, and therefore now you bring the current low is I is supposed to come here. There, that's the original high. So the new high will be here. That goes with this. Let me remove this one so that we now go down. Right. So yes. So that was there. It came and it breached. Right. So when it breached, then you go again looking at the low. Remember, we are going down. So you're looking at the lows. This low here, the green candle, the low. This is higher than the previous low. This one again is higher. But when you look at this one went lower. It went lower than this one instead of being higher than this. So then the new high here, the new bring in the new low. After that was breached, it came up to here. Yeah, to breach that. So you start counting from here. This last candle here, green. This low. This one imekuja chini. So there now, this becomes the new high. This one here becomes the new high. There. The tall one is the one that I want to be moving along with it. The tall one is the one I will be moving along with it. So the one that not reach this, that's the point. Okay. So this is the current high, the current low currently is this one, right? Again, it is breached. It is breached downwards, then a new up to that point. Then again, that is the new low. You look at it backwards. That candle there. Then this one becomes a counter trend when you look at it backwards. So then now the current high will have to move. The current high will have to move down here. Okay, the current high will have to move to that level. Why? Because well, compare this candle and this one and this one. This one is higher, this one comes lower, this one comes lower. But when you look at this one, it doesn't go higher. It is actually in the opposite direction. So that is why it becomes a counter trend, and therefore that's where we are. Now, again, it is breached down. It comes, it creates a new low. When it creates a new low, then now it becomes a point of interest in that since you have established a new low, then you want to look at that impasse. Where does it begin and where does it, where does it begin? This is where it ends at the bottom where we are the lowest. Then where does it begin? You begin with the bottom of the candle here. Look at that and this. So when you compare this one becomes a counter trend. This candle here becomes a counter trend to that impasse. That one becomes, because why? It is not. When you look at the succession of these candles which are coming down, there is this low, and this low. But this one, it is in the opposite direction. If it was probably a little bit higher than this one, then it would be of this. It would be part of that impasse. So this impasse, the new impasse, the new low, the new high rather, we will now it will come. That one first. That's low, high. Then now this will move down slightly to that point. It will move slightly up to that point. Okay, so while we are there now, all these candles are within the same impasse. This impasse is now which is going on, and now we can move on from there. We can proceed now from there. Right. Change the direction is clearly changing and doing so for force. A counter trend has been created, so we can pause there. This yellow here, when you look at it from the bottom here, you will this went high. This is lower than this. This is lower than that. This is lower than this. But this is higher than this. So basically now the new low will be at the bottom here. The new low is here. The current low will be there. That will be the current low. Whereas the current high, it is obvious because we are on an upward trend. The current high is actually obvious. So we will bring this one, we put that candle here, pull it up to the point where it was breached. Then now I want to use this one to move. Say the tall one is the one I want to be using as my current. Right. So that is it. This is the of this new impasse. This is the low. This is the current low. This is the current high. So let's play on. Yeah, at this juncture, we are not getting involved. Why? Because we are still within the same impasse which began at where we have the current low and where we have the current high. As long as it plays in between there, that constitutes the same impasse. Doesn't change until it will either go up to breach the current high or the current low. In other words, when you're in within such a period, in such a situation now, it will be said the market is ranging, and when it's ranging, the nature of this strategy is such that you really don't want to get involved. You are not interested. You just watch the market until it gives you the signal that it wants to move in either upward or downward direction. So it just plays on until we get interested only when we'll breach either the high or the low. So the trend is going up. So we are waiting for a counter trend so that we can now mark the new high and mark our until the next candle closes. So we have a counter trend. Now we can, at that juncture, we can pause. We can pause there. Why? Because the high has been breached upwards and the next candle also went up. So here, duplicate this and we create a new high there. First point where it was breached over there. So we have a new current high. So from there now we want to establish the current low. Remember, once it is breached, it means now you'll have to go downward, backwards to establish where the current low should be. And when you want to do that, what do we do? Because it was going up, you'll now look at the upper side of the candles. This one went higher, this one higher, higher, higher. Rather, this was the highest, this was lower, 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 but this is higher than the lowest. This yellow candle here is higher. So this one will mark our current high, rather low. This dodgy like a candle here. This is that will become our current. This will become our current low. So this one, just so that your work doesn't look disorganized, just pull it to the point whereby it kind of like it is in line with where you are starting the new low, and it is at that point, right? So while you are there now, we proceed. We have 10 minutes. In case we are not finished, we'll beg that we check in again and finalize. But I believe we are almost done up to 17. Well, maybe while you're there, I want to pause and check on something here. Now, here you can see where we have marked our low here, and there is this doji which came down here, which probably with a naked eye you may not be able to be sure whether it breached the current low or not. You go again to your snapshot, to this tool here, okay, and hover in your current low where it is. The current low is 760 low, that is 0.74760. Then you come here. This one is 0.7463. So 60 is certainly lower than 63. Therefore, it had not been breached. This doji is still within this impasse, which is currently playing. So we continue. Satisfied that we have not, because if this one had breached, then it would mean now we have to pause and actually create a new low. Right, so finally it has been breached. Now we wait for a counter trade so that we know where the new low will be. Good, we have a counter trend now. This green one here is a counter trend. Why is it a counter trend? Because when you look, from the point at which the current low was breached here, it came below, then the next candle, very long one, again went below. This green candle here also went below here. So we will have to mark our new low, which is there, right? This was a counter trend, it did not go lower than this. So that's why this one is said to be a counter trend, the green one. Therefore, we play on. Not really we play on. Again, we go backwards, we mark the current high. Remember, we say that once this one is breached and you mark a new low, then you have to go back and establish a new high where it is. And therefore, this will go with the candles now looking at the lower part of it. This went lower, higher, 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 higher. Maybe these ones are very close. You might want to use the hoovering tool to see which is higher than the other. This one is the low is 774. The low is 71. So this one is lower than this, and therefore now our high, our current high will have to shift. We'll have to move. This here will be our current high. Why? Because at this succession, this one was the lowest, higher, 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 higher. But when you look at this doji, it came below. So it was lower than the highest of this downward trend. Therefore, now the high on the top there, that marks that will mark our current high. And therefore, our current impulse now runs from this point. This is the current high. This is the current low down here. Let's play on. So all these candles now, which are within the current high and the current low, all those constitute one impulse, right? Even if they keep dancing up, down, they are still within the same impulse. If they were to be collapsed into one candle, the candle would be running from where we have the highest point and the lowest. That would be one, all of them collapsed into one candle. It will be one tall candle which is running from the highest to the bottom where we have marked. Yeah, that's why it is said to be still within the same impulse, and therefore, as far as this strategy is concerned, while you are there, if you are not in the trend, if you are not already in the trend, this is not a point at which would inform you in any way to enter into the trend. But right now, our interest is just to mark high and low. When we move to the next level, we probably now will be in a trend. At some point, I think the trend would be running. But for now, our interest is to see what makes a new high, and once you create a new high, where do you mark the new low? Yeah. So we are still within the same impulse. This impulse can go within the same, you can have one impulse even for almost a whole day. When the market is ranging, it is just within the same range, and therefore, it's, as far as this is concerned, doesn't give you an opportunity to enter into the market. You remain just watching until it actually triggers you. It triggers itself that to inform you now the market wants to create a trend, and therefore you should get interested. So we can just continue lengthening our highs and lows, or as long as it is playing within, we are not interested marking anything. It's reached, that's the point at which we want to get involved. Let's move a little bit faster so that we get time for questions and answers. I think now as you can see clearly here, it's possible that a new whatever, this was our current high. If you pull this one, certainly it was breached. It was breached by this one, and a new counter trend was formed. So here you will need now to create a new high. Is the one which is now our current high. That is the one. There was a breach and a counter trend. So then we look at it. So where is our current low? Where is our current low? We need to get that. Our current low will, this is high, lower, 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 high. So where the bottom of this candle here should form our current high. That one becomes our current high. Therefore, the Himbus now runs from this top high, from here, anything playing in between. Right. So let's move on. I will increase the speed so that we finalize faster. I'm sure you have gotten the hang of what is happening. Yeah, you can increase the speed by just this one. You can see like times 2,000. Moves faster. You go to 5,000, even much faster, right?